Have you ever wondered why Donald Trump, one of the most controversial and outspoken presidents in American history, consistently avoided mentioning the Statue of Liberty? A symbol that almost every other US president has praised as the very soul of the nation was, in Trump's case, completely ignored. Not a single word of praise, not a single moment of emphasis, even in his most important speeches about making America great, Trump never directly referenced this symbol of power. In 2018, amid an intense debate over immigration policy, a woman climbed onto the base of the Statue of Liberty to protest Trump's hardline stance. The media exploded, the entire nation turned its eyes to New York, yet President Trump chose to remain absolutely silent, a rare response from a man who typically has an immediate answer for even the smallest issue. Not a single tweet, not a single comment, it was as if he deliberately kept a strange distance from the nation's most famous icon. So what exactly is Trump hiding? To understand this, we must go back to the moment the Statue of Liberty was erected in 1886. It was not simply a gift from France, the statue harbors historical secrets that those in power have always tried to conceal. Frederick Bartholdi, the man who designed the statue, was a member of the Freemasons, a secret society with mysterious rituals and far-reaching influence. The torch in her hand, the 7 rays of her crown, and the cryptic measurements in her construction all carry meanings far deeper than we ever imagined. This is not just a simple symbol of freedom, but a cryptic message from an invisible force, those who have always stood behind history and orchestrated every major change. Trump, who declared he would expose the deep state, did he ever realize this truth? In 2017, as Trump entered the White House, he promised to drain the swamp, to eliminate the shadowy powers manipulating American politics. Yet it seems even he was shocked to discover that this swamp was far deeper than he had ever imagined. Trump was confronted with the harsh reality that the most sacred symbol of America was, in fact, a monument representing the very hidden forces he claimed to be fighting against. It is no coincidence that Trump always avoided mentioning the statue. It is no accident that he refused to reference the green goddess standing in the ocean. Trump knew that if he exposed the secret, it would cause a shockwave far greater than any controversy he had ever stirred. It could completely destroy the American people's faith in their own history. Donald Trump entered the White House with a bold promise: drain the swamp. But there was one thing Trump never made clear to the public: just how deep that swamp really was, and who the true shadowy powers actually are. When people talk about secret powers, they usually think of the Illuminati or the Freemasons as something distant and far-fetched. But the truth is far colder and sharper. It was they who built one of the most famous symbols in the world, the Statue of Liberty. The statue's designer, Frederick Bartholdi, was a prominent member of the Freemasons. And this is not a rumor, it is a fact clearly recorded in forgotten history books. The statue's inauguration in 1886 was a solemn ritual attended by hundreds of members of secret societies, dressed in special attire, performing rites that official history will never describe in detail. Bartholdi claimed that his work symbolized liberty, democratic ideals, and the light of enlightenment. But what light and democratic ideals for whom? The Freemasons are renowned for their rituals of worshipping Luciferian light, the light symbolizing forbidden knowledge and the hidden power to manipulate, which ordinary people are never meant to know. You might think that the 7 rays on the statue's crown represent the 7 continents or the 7 seas. That's not true at all. In fact, they are symbols of the 7 degrees of Masonic enlightenment. The number 7, in the secret world, always carries a special meaning. It marks the journey toward absolute power. Even the statue's location was no coincidence. Liberty Island, previously known as Bedloe's Island, was carefully chosen by secret societies for its strategic position, connecting energy lines to form a convergence point of power, an esoteric concept within these circles. Ordinary people see the statue, but the initiated understand it was built to channel the flow of history, to draw the world's political and financial power toward America. Trump knows all of this. In his book, The America We Deserve, he once hinted at invisible forces controlling America, but he never dared to point them out directly. In many interviews before he became president, he admitted that he didn't believe in coincidences and that the world is run by powers vastly different from what ordinary people imagine. One of the most famous interviews was with Alex Jones in 2015, where Trump hesitated to talk about shadowy forces, then quickly changed the subject. That unusual silence is the clearest proof. He was aware of the deep power structure, and he knew exactly where his own limits lay. During his presidency, Trump was never one to shy away from controversial statements. He attacked NATO, the United Nations, even America's closest allies. But when it came to the Statue of Liberty, he chose absolute silence. Because he understood that touching that symbol was no different than declaring war on the true powers, those who have always manipulated history. If you believe that true power exists only within Western secret societies, you're missing the deepest layer of this mystery. Behind the Statue of Liberty lies not just the hand of the Freemasons or the Illuminati, but also the ancient legacy of civilizations that have vanished from the map of the world. Western scholars and artifact collectors all know something the public is never told on national television. The Statue of Liberty is a resurrection of ancient goddesses Isis of Egypt, Ishtar of Babylon, even Inanna of Sumer. During his creative process, Bartholdi meticulously studied every symbol of power, every detail from the radiant crown to the torch, all rooted in the mystical rituals of antiquity, in pre-Judaic, pre-Christian religions where deities embodied both illumination and punishment. Isis, the goddess of magic, fertility, and resurrection. Ishtar, the goddess of love, war, and uprising. These figures once stood tall throughout the Middle East, always carrying the same message: whoever holds the goddess controls the future of humanity. It's no coincidence that the great empires, from Rome to Britain, all used the image of the goddess to consolidate their power. And now, America, the young superpower, has chosen the same path, but woven it into the narrative of modern liberty. Trump knew this. His closest advisors, the ones who never appeared on camera, the religious and intelligence experts, once warned him, if the president publicly says the Statue of Liberty carries a pagan symbol, he'll ignite a religious and cultural war that no one can control. Within the White House, Trump often complained about the fakeness of the symbols he was forced to protect. He didn't believe in ancient myths, but he understood their psychological power over the masses. Many sources claim that in private meetings, Trump once said, "Why do we have to worship a statue that everyone knows doesn't represent God? This is America, why put our faith in a foreign goddess?" Just one sentence, but it was enough to send his media aides into months of confusion, fearing that Trump might make such a statement public and trigger a wave of fierce backlash from Catholics, evangelicals, and white nationalist groups alike. Trump understood, if he exposed the real story behind the Statue of Liberty, he would be confronting not just the elites or the media, but hundreds of millions of Americans, people raised to believe that this statue is the embodiment of the American dream, the guardian angel for every immigrant, every hope. He chose silence. Not out of simple fear, but because he understood that American history is built on faith, and when that faith collapses, nothing can save the nation from its own panic. The world has witnessed the fall of sacred statues before, from Babylon to Rome. The ruins of those empires serve as a constant reminder to humanity: any power built on false beliefs will, sooner or later, be swept away by the current of history. Trump may not believe in ancient legends, but he knows touching a symbol means touching the deepest fears of an entire people. Throughout Trump's presidency, the media relentlessly hunted for every word, every glance, every odd expression on his face whenever national symbols were mentioned. In over 4 years at the White House, Trump stood before dozens of monuments across America, from the Lincoln Memorial to Mount Rushmore, but he never once appeared at the foot of the Statue of Liberty. Not a single official ceremony, not a single commemorative speech, not a single tribute to the symbol by which the world recognizes this nation. For someone like Trump, that silence cannot be mere coincidence. Some sources inside the White House revealed that, during a top-secret security meeting among his advisors, a document marked eyes only, for the highest level of clearance, was handed directly to Trump. Its full contents have never been leaked, but those present at the meeting insisted that, after reading it, Trump simply sat in silence and then ordered a ban on all activities related to inspecting or honoring the Statue of Liberty during his term. In major televised interviews, especially when reporters unexpectedly brought up the Statue of Liberty, Trump would quickly change the subject. He spoke of the economy, of immigration, of making America great, but never allowed himself to delve too deeply into the statue's history. Each time, if you watched his eyes closely, you would catch a fleeting moment of stillness, as if he was reminding himself not to let anything slip. Body language experts have commented many times, Trump can talk endlessly about any subject, willing to take on the world with a single tweet. But when it comes to symbols steeped in mysterious power, he's like a man walking on thin ice. No matter how provoked, he maintains a strangely cautious demeanor, something never seen in the fiery Trump who usually scoffs at every rule of the media game. In 2020, during a closed-door meeting with New York tycoons, those long considered the gatekeepers of America's greatest secrets, someone directly asked Trump about the rumors surrounding secret societies and the Statue of Liberty. His only response was, "There are secrets Americans shouldn't know, not because they're too dangerous, but because they would destroy everything you believe in." After that evening, the person who asked was denied all private meetings with Trump. His name disappeared from the guest lists of Manhattan's major financial events. No one knows what happened behind those closed doors, but everyone present understood his question had touched a line that even Trump dared not cross. Imagine, for a moment, that one day all the secrets about the Statue of Liberty are exposed to the public. That people realize this symbol, worshipped for over a century, is not merely a gift of friendship, not just a welcome to the world's outcasts, but the product of a chain of hidden forces, from Western secret societies to the legacy of ancient pagan religions, placed at the world's most powerful crossroads to reinforce an order that most of humanity will never comprehend. What do you think would happen to America then? You would witness what every manipulator of power fears most, the collapse of faith. When belief in the national symbol shatters, there is no fortress left to guard America's heart. People will be bewildered, angry, divided. Anti-secret society movements will surge, religious extremists will find new fuel to denounce every traditional value. The government will face political and psychological earthquakes with no clear end in sight. And Trump, the man who once dreamed of making America great again, might be swept up in the very storm he foresaw. Trump knows this. He understands that a truth too immense is sometimes more dangerous than any lie. That is why he chooses silence, not out of weakness, but because he has already glimpsed the future if that statue were ever to fall under the weight of truth. But you, the one hearing this story, what will you choose? Are you ready to abandon the myth and face a world where all values are questioned, where every symbol can crumble from a truth kept hidden for too long? Or, like millions of Americans before you, will you continue to believe in a beautiful illusion because it is that very illusion that has sustained America's strength and existence for hundreds of years? In the storm of doubt and the temptation of truth, each person must find their own answer.